Hey, this is HaloTitan, and you are listening to the Backlog Gamers podcast. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Backlog Gamers podcast. I'm your co-host, HaloTitan, joined here today by my good friend Saga, Rage PB, and Fable. Sorry, Unchained Saga. That's who he is. How you guys doing?
Doing good.
Good.
Doing good.
Tired. Good chat.
Yeah.
Tired.
All right, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the
So high energy. I don't know where to go from there.
You guys are just so full of life.
Woo!
So today we're going to be chatting about parenting and gaming, and
that's why I'm tired. Oh, hold on. Let me just go. I have one of those really quick so I can contribute.
But before we hop into that, I want to see what's going on with you guys. What's been up lately? What are y'all playing? Where are you at in the gaming space this week?
Ladies first.
Well, so it's been a while. I've been traveling for work. That'll calm down eventually. But I did play Stray, and I loved it. It was so much fun. It was so quick too. I think it was like 6 hours complete playthrough. I loved it. I loved the story. It was such a great story about a little cat that falls down, and there's robots and these weird little virus things that honestly, it was so much fun.
Cats are exact spawns from the devil. The devil made cats.
All right, we made it 3 minutes in.
Wow. Hey, here we go.
New record. How do we feel about that?
Yeah. Anyway, it was, for the storyline alone, I thought it was such a fun game to play. I really think, Fable, that you would really enjoy it because you get to run around these lost cities. Humans have since died out, and it's basically robots are just kind of existing on.
Spoiler.
And it's like in the game. But anyway, it's fantastic. And then outside of that, Saga convinced me to start playing Expedition 33. And my life has been consumed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Tell us about that. Why has your life been consumed by this game?
I think you should tell us.
Hello. I will. Never before in my days have I been so. I won't say never before. It's a great game made by. I want to point this out because I see a lot of hate online. All right. Oh, turn-based. Oh, shut up. Grow up. Get an adult palate, baby. Okay. 30 people. French. 5 years-ish. First game, masterpiece. A genuine, I don't say this about every game, a genuine work of art. The soundtrack, the design, the feel, the story. I don't care if you don't like turn-based games. That's all right. That's an opinion. It is such a great and well-crafted definition of a game. I have been so enthralled with this game. I love it. I'm glad that Rage loves it. Clearly, she and I are the only two real gamers in this podcast because the rest of our co-hosts won't even try, except for HaloTitan, who said, and I quote, "I fell asleep twice during the prologue. I don't understand anything."
Hold on.
All right. Here we go.
Hold on.
Also, cats suck. Not
hold on. I fell asleep because I was tired, not because the game was boring. I will admit the game is definitely interesting. It's something that I'll finish. I just don't have the same passion and love for it that you guys do. Primarily, I would say because of the turn-based combat. I'm just not a huge fan of having, press A to do a regular attack, or let's do a special magic power attack. Though this game has made turn-based bearable for me, I'd say, with being able to parry and dodge. I don't think I've ever played one where I've been able to do those things. So that's been pretty cool. It's definitely a very beautiful game. The music, graphic wise, it's beautiful. The music is amazing.
I would say keep going. You had just started it, so it is a long game. I'm I don't know, 20.
It's shockingly long.
25 hours into it, and I will say it took me about midway through the first act to really see what Saga was talking about. But the turn-based, I've never played a turn-based game before, ever. Not one. And so this was brand new territory for me. And at first I hated it. And then as I started to be able to build their skill sets, started to unlock their skill trees and all these abilities. Now I'm finding like ones I love, ones I hate, and then you can like tailor them for different. And it's fun. It's enjoyable.
I came in intentionally quite hot. It's a taste of a game, just like everything else in the world is. It's the same way, right? Like I'll never willingly play Overwatch a day in my life unless you three bully me back into it, because it's the most repetitive.
Okay, all right, but hang on.
Benign thing to me.
Overwatch has changed a bit. We should try it again.
As much as you love this game, do you think at the end of the year it is going to contend with Split Fiction for Game of the Year?
Yeah.
Wow.
I did not. I thought Josh was crazy. And
who's Josh?
It's my alter ego. It's my villain side.
Anyway, the story, as it's just, you can't give anything. You can't say anything without like giving away spoilers. But like, it is so beautiful. I've legitimately cried at points in the story. It is such a beautiful, like, it's just such a beautiful game. However, they're two different games. That's the thing, is they're very different games. You've got a platformer, co-op platformer, and then
you're talking about Split Fiction. I thought you were saying Expedition. I'm like, there's a lot of people giving the platforming sections flack. You don't have to do it. Optional.
No, I'm saying Split Fiction and Expedition 33 are two very different games, both very great in their specific style of gaming, right? The platforming co-op, fantastic, beautiful game. Turn-based RPG, fantastic, beautiful game. Can we have two Game of the Year winners?
All right. So Game of the Year may come down to two games that came out in the first 4 months of the year.
Well, I mean, we still have Doom to look forward to. We still have
Borderlands 4.
Doom.
Doom. I'm really GTA 6 got pushed down to next year, so that's going to take Game of the Year. I don't care for GTA personally all that much. I haven't found a good one since San Andreas, I think. But anyway,
it's great.
Yeah, it is. Just for one final shout out for Expedition 33, because I want everyone to at least try it. Just come in with an open mind. It's got a lot of systems. It's got a lot of mechanics that you need to learn. I get it. It isn't a point and click like some shooter. Just give it a try. Just embrace. Just open your heart. Just talk to the funny French people. It's fun.
I'm convinced.
Oh oui, croissants.
Oh, there's baguettes. You get baguettes.
Baguette.
Heavy spoiler. You get baguette and whatever they call the funny hat. It's not a beret. Is it a beret?
It's a beret.
It's like in the military. Yes.
No.
All right. Well, Fable, you been playing anything lately, bud?
Oh my gosh. I mean, mostly just hanging out with you guys when I play recently. Gears 3. Yeah. I have been doing so. I've been trying to be a little healthier. I'm an author, so I spend a lot of time at a desk, day in and day out. So been trying to do more walks. And so I got this thing that kind of gamifies walking. And so it's like a Star Trek like walking challenge. So I got to walk like 100 miles, and then I get you get like different ships and stuff as you walk, and
that's cool.
You get like postcards and stuff. And then when you finish, you get a whole medal. They'll send you a medal and stuff. So that's kind of it's been fun. I know it's not exactly regular video games, but it's a game, and it's been pretty fun.
Games are games, even if they're not the traditional kind we think of. And I think that kind of bleeds into our topic today, because kids can play games that aren't necessarily the kind of games you would think we would play, but maybe more educational type games. Today we are going to be talking about parenting and gaming. When should we let our kids play games? What kind of games should they be playing when we let them play? Fablecheck, you have 4 kids.
I do.
I have 2. Unchained Saga and Rage PB don't have any
that I know of.
I
have none. I can confirm.
So we're gonna get some opinions from some people who don't have kids. I think that's gonna be an interesting take. see what they have to say. But Fable, did you want to lead us off here? What do you think about parenting and gaming? How do you parent and game?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, we definitely have we have a lot of rules around gaming, especially because we have a lot of all our kids are basically teenagers at this point, so they have a little bit more leeway. But as a parent, you want to share certain things with your kids, right? Mm-hmm. You want to share games and things like that. But I think one of the first things you got to talk about when it comes to gaming and parenting is rules. The fact of the matter is that everybody's got rules for their house. And for us, one of the big things that we try to make sure our children do is take care of their schoolwork, right? That's their job, right? And so for us, we don't do any video games. There's no video games for any kids during the school week. So through the whole school year, Monday through Thursday, if you got school the next day, like if you got school, you're not playing video games. They're allowed to play on the weekends for certain, amounts of time, and they get to play a little bit today. But that's a certain rule that we've got. We've got different rules about like them playing online, right? We don't let them play with randos online. Mm-hmm. For us growing up, it was like, don't talk to strangers. Well, now strangers are like in your headset.
Yeah.
Right. So, for us, it's like, you don't get to play with randos online unless there's like no way for them to communicate with you. They can't send you messages. They can't send you. There are certain games where you're in a lobby or a server with other gamers, but there's no way for them to communicate with you. And that's okay, whatever. But if somebody could talk to you and they could say something to you, not unless we've vetted these people, right? So that's a huge thing with parenting and gaming. I'm sure you've got rules for your own kids.
Oh, for sure. I kind of similar, I would say. I do let them play during the week, but as long as, schoolwork and everything's been completed. And it's weird. I don't know. We're in two different states. Like neither of my kids really get homework ever. Which for me, I'm just like every day I'm grilling. I'm like, really? Like,
what kind of what's in your backpack?
No homework. Like you're in high school. My daughter's in high school. I'm like, no homework.
No homework.
Actually, that's insane. What?
Really, kind of how it is now. At least in this area, and I'm just like, that's wild. But they still have stuff that my son misses assignments, doesn't turn them in. And the games go away. It's for me, it's more of a. I would say I've been more lenient on letting them play during the school week, but if grades start slipping or if the work's not being turned in, that games go away. They're gone.
Yeah,
can't play them at all. I also use it. Being respectful. If he's not being respectful to me or his grandparents or his sister, it's like maybe you need some time. Around family and not on games, and
totally
learn to be respectful. And it's I'll give it back as a reward type thing. And so that's kind of how I've been a little more lax. My rules are mainly on like the content of what he's allowed to play. My daughter doesn't game much. She's more into like the Sims type stuff.
Oh yeah.
Valid gaming.
Yeah, and so I don't really have to worry about her too much, but
I'm curious
my son,
about.
He likes the shooters and stuff, the Fortnites.
Yeah, right. I'm curious to hear from Saga and Rage. You guys don't have kids, and so it's kind of interesting to ask you guys, like, what kind of rules do you think you would implement with your kids? Obviously, we have different rules. HaloTitan and I do, but we also have similar rules and the way that we allow our kids to interact with them. And our kids play a lot together too. So that's, there's that. But you guys not having kids yet, what kind of rules do you think you would implement?
What's so funny is that when we were growing up, and when I say we, I mean Titan, me, and Fable, it was don't talk to strangers, don't get in the car with strangers, don't, don't do this stuff. Now we literally call cars to get into them with strange people.
Yeah.
We have strange people drop off our food, our groceries. We have these handheld devices that I swear babies are just born knowing how to use.
Oh, God.
Like they
Straight up.
come out of the womb and know how to unlock a phone. My
Straight up.
2-year-old niece knows how to get on the TV, get on the iPads, get on the phone, open games.
Yeah.
It is just a completely different generation. And Saga too, he's not that young.
It's so funny you say that. My son,
still in diapers, as you say. Yeah, you know.
first time he saw a laptop computer, he was trying to touch the screen.
Oh wow.
To do things.
Yeah.
He realized there was a mouse on it.
And so they have these devices at their hands where they talk to strangers if they're on social media, if they're on TikTok. I mean, they have this thing where they can play games on that. You can play games on the like just your regular TV. Like I have the Amazon Fire Stick. It's advertising Netflix. You have games you can play on Netflix where you don't even need a controller. You just use your remote. You know, and so it's one of those things where when we were growing up, it was like video games are so detrimental to your health, to, you know, they're dangerous. These shooter games are bad for kids, which I think, yeah, you know, there's a certain age in which maybe kids shouldn't be playing shooter games, you know, but I just think they're a completely different generation and that they know how to use this technology way better than any of us.
Sure.
And so go ahead.
That is interesting. Yeah, it is a different generation. I still think it's something that like parents should monitor the content. I know in the US they have ratings. They have ratings based on the game. So even though they're used to the you know, I mean, gaming is wildly more popular now than it was when we were growing up. I remember in high school, I hid the fact that I was a gamer. Because exactly. I mean, that's why people. I remember my buddy Brian. We brought a laptop to the football locker room when we were waiting to go on the bus. We were playing Halo on it, and people were like, "Oh, you guys gamers? Do you guys game on?" You know, like they were being all weird about it. We were like, "Oh, we're just messing around."
It's not games, no.
But 5 years later, those same people were sharing their Xbox gamer tags with me. I'm just like, wow, okay. So it's changed wildly. Unchained Saga, did you have any thoughts on how you would rules for kids?
So growing up, same thing, right? I don't have kids, so I think about me as a kid. I had two very polarizing experiences, right? My parents divorced early, so I had one household that ran very much the way Fable runs his, right? Video games are entirely optional. If you misbehave, they're out the door. You don't talk to people. You don't think about other people. I don't want you shooting up bad guys on your screen. And then I had another house, I'd flip back between them every year or so. That was the exact opposite. It was a very do your own thing, you know, whatever. I don't care. You fail school, it doesn't matter. Go hop on games. Doesn't matter, right? And so growing up, I had two very polarizing takes on this, right? On one side, it's be careful, be cautious, be very intentional about what you're doing with your time and how you're taking it. And on the other side, I had some truly great and defining experiences on the other end of that. So growing up, I wasn't a very social kid, right? I didn't want to talk to people online. I didn't want to talk to people in my school. I don't like people.
He still doesn't want to talk to people.
I don't want to talk to you three. No, I'm kidding. But I had this weird moment where one of my few friends that I did have got me into a Halo clan. We would hop on Halo every 2-3 days of the week. Everyone had, you know, 3 letters at the beginning of their gamer tag. I can't remember what they are now, but those were some of the most kind and caring and fun to be around strangers that I will never meet other than in that one specific scenario. And then I'd get other moments, right, where I'd be playing Battlefield and this one random guy on a live mic, which I must have turned that setting on an accident. I don't know. It was just like, I built a lifelong friendship with that guy until I stopped talking with him forever ago because he's hopped off Battlefield. And he was the most cool, dude, this is how you play. I mean, yeah.
Life of the video game.
The life of the video game for as long as we played that game, yeah. And he was just one of the most genuinely awesome people that I'd ever gotten the chance to interact with in a way that I never would. And so I take those polarizing experiences, I put them together, and I think, what would I do for my own children? And the question that I kind of left with is, how do I teach them to use it in a responsible manner? Because it is like Rage was saying, it is a part of our reality. And for our kids, your kids, my kids, her kids, it's a part of the reality that we never got to touch. And it's this way of life, right? You three, you primarily work from home in different capacities, right? Rage and Titan, you guys have more corporate jobs, so you guys have to interact with people and online, I'm assuming. People that you don't get to walk up and shake their hand, right? I grew up, one household. You look a man in the eye, you shake their hand, and in that moment, you have a bond between that handshake that you just don't get in many capacities nowadays. And so I think, it's a very interesting question. It would have to be just this very it's really hard to put in words. Just kind of a blend of
layered. Yeah, it's certainly layered. Look, the fact of the matter is my kids do overtime. Overtime we have, now we're going to be at this stage. Now you can, access this. Now you can play this. Now you're allowed to play online with your friends and go play this game or that game or whatever. You know what? This is a scary game. Let's talk about it. For us, it's very much an experience of parent to child, hey, what are you going to play? And let's talk about why maybe some of the stuff in this game is a little weird, and maybe you should be very aware not to do some of this stuff. Okay, my oldest son is now starting to play Phasmophobia with one of HaloTitan's kids. And what do? Okay, let's have a talk about Ouija boards.
Right.
Maybe let's not play with those. Let's have a talk about these different things. This game is really fun and kind of crazy and zany, but in real life, we bet let's differentiate. This is game versus reality. I
had that same conversation with my
son. Right, exactly. Right. So it's layered, and as they get older and they mature, you kind of unfold different things. So for example, one of the things that I really love is experiencing the stories that I've loved in video games with my children.
Yep.
So we've been playing all the Halo games together, and my littlest was not allowed to play with us for the first, 2 games. But now she's bigger, and now she gets to watch and gets to play with us because she's, older now. And, I'm playing Uncharted. I'm playing all the Uncharted games with my oldest son now, because it's these are just such phenomenal experiences in video games, and I want to totally share them with you. It's just timing and maturity, right? And so it's not we're not lock and key, you can't do anything. It's just, hey, let's make sure we're heart to heart, we know what you're about to experience, and let's make sure we're all on the same page as we go forward.
Right. And I think for me it's kind of different in a way where I kind of I let my son buy Diablo 4. Because in my head it was just I was his age when I started playing Diablo 2 with Uncle Eric. Difference was, mom and dad had no idea what Diablo was. Right. Uncle Eric was a kid himself, pretty much. He was just, early 20s at that time. And I think, he didn't really have any conversations with me about it. But, I had that conversation with my son about, because, what are you doing in Diablo? You're fighting demons and things like that. And so it's just kind of one of those things where I felt he was mature enough to have a conversation about it. And and quite frankly, it's surprising he even likes that game. Because he's more about the mechanics. He doesn't care about the story. He doesn't care about what he's battling. He's more about he's building up his mechanics and making this really strong character and fighting them, which is out of his norm because I can't play. I played the first Halo with my son. He doesn't care about it. He likes it. He's like, well, can we do the multiplayer? Can we go online?
Yeah.
He wants to do all the online stuff, and I'm at a point in my life where I kind of hate playing games. So it's just it's tough, but it's just kind of for me. It's I introduced my kids to games at a young age. They used to play Subway Surfer on the phone, stupid games that just have no meaning or anything. Even some educational computer games with math and English and learning how to type
math games
and things like that. So I introduced them pretty young. What do you guys think? A good especially if there's like a new parent listening to this, kind of wondering some of these same things. Like, when's a good time to kind of share your passion of games with your children? Do you think?
I guess someone without kids, I think it's very much based off of emotional maturity, right? Because age largely is just a number. I've met 10-year-olds that have more emotional maturity than 30-year-old people that I've met. And so I think it's very much you as a look at the reality, right? Kind of like you both do, and go, is my child ready to understand and process and be able to work through this? Is this not even going to affect them? Because that frankly is our role, right? I played GTA when I was like 9, and I didn't understand 90% of what was happening. Oh, I just drugs, bang, bang, bang. I just thought I could run around and cheat code big head mode and parachute off of a building.
Right.
It's
so different, the upbringings, because I played GTA when I was my son's age. I would never let him play GTA.
Right.
Yeah.
But also we're in a time and an age now where it's like, you know, maybe he has a little, because it's more commonplace for your kids, that generation. You know, they talk about it with another kid at school. That kid's like, yeah, did you know you can get in the backseat of the car and see some, you know? It's a very different reality for them to live in. And so I think it's entirely based off of just emotional maturity, you know, because these are real things. These are real people that you're going to meet. These are real questions you have to ask.
Cody's making the bleep note.
I didn't even say the word. I didn't even say the word. It's a real thing, right?
I just Josh.
I think you make a good point, Saga, because that's it, man. There's so much more out there that we can't be aware of everything. And that's why if you're very intentional with your children about, hey, what are we playing? Let's talk about this game and why maybe some of this stuff isn't right. But this could be really fun. And having those really open and honest conversations is so vital.
Yeah, I agreed. My big thing is like, you know, to make sure that they understand that this is all fiction. This is not real, what they're touching online, because I don't want them bringing that out of it into real life. And I haven't really had that problem because my son, Mike, he is obsessed with Rocket League right now. I mean, he likes his whole thing is he's like learning strats and he's flying through the air, doing things I can't do. He's super confident that he and Zach, or Fabletrek's kid, could beat us now.
Yeah,
I'm still not convinced, but they might be able to do some cooler flying around maneuvers. But I'm like, I don't know.
We're pretty good. We play it out of years.
We're very mediocre in our play versus, I'd say, other Rocket League players, but I'm pretty sure we can still handle them. So it's been kind of less about having to monitor content outside of like Phasmophobia and Diablo, because those are two games where he begged me for months to get, and I was just like, let me look into it. You know, let's have conversations about it. I don't know that I'm ready. And then once I felt that he was mature enough and he understood the conversations we had, that I was like, okay, I'll let you get in on that. And I realized I think, and this is going to be for every parent, every kid is different. And I realized my son doesn't really buy into the plots and the themes of games as much, because he's really about learning the game and being really good at it and mastering it. He can hunt ghosts now in Phas by hearing their footsteps and be like, oh, that's a Thay. I'm like, no, it's not. And then we end the match and it was a Thay. I was like that's all. He just, I don't know. It drives me nuts because I'm like, oh, see, this is not even fun to play with you anymore.
It's funny. He was schooling me on it. He was like telling me I was doing things wrong, as if we hadn't been playing that game way longer than him.
Right.
And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. That's it.
It does lean into a very different side of that, which is the obsessive side, right? Like, so you give kids enough free time, they're naturally going to want to cling on to whatever they find the most joy out of and make it such a very core aspect of what they are and what they do, right? Like, you find all these kids on COD nowadays, they drop shot in you, and it's an unplayable game for me now, and I'm not even a dad.
And we should differentiate the joy from the fun, because it's they're not necessarily finding joy out of it,
right?
But they're finding fun and getting these hits of all sorts of things, serotonin, and just like getting all these little hits because they're able to do all these different things in games. One of the things that we had to do, so yeah, we do have rules, and we do, we're very systematic and intentional about everything. And we did have to ban Fortnite in our house because our children were so consumed by it that every week they were aiming for the end of the week so that they could get back on Fortnite and make sure that they were getting their daily tasks, and they had to play so much of it over the weekend just to accomplish the weekly tasks or whatever, so that they could get the skins, and it was a nightmare. And I was like, you guys are consumed. And it was sick, honestly. It was really, really sad. And we were seeing it affecting their daily life even throughout the week, where they were like, but could we maybe have like an exemption to play tonight on a weeknight just because this new thing is dropping? And I'm like, okay, this is too far. This is getting crazy. And it was obsessive, addictive behavior. And we were like, okay, hang on. And we had to have that very real conversation with them about, this is addictive behavior, and this is not setting you up for success later on down the road. We really need to nip this in the bud. We're not playing that game anymore. And my son, a couple weeks later, he tells me, Dad, I'm so glad we banned that game because I've been playing this game and this game and this game, and I'm having so much fun. And I'm like,
it's the way it should be. It's kind of funny because both of my kids played Fortnite. My daughter never really got into it. She liked to play with people, to have it fun, to have a fun time with friends. My son, again, was more focused on being good at the game. And of course, he plays on my account because I don't play anymore. And I always had the battle passes and the good skins and stuff that I paid for. And it got it so that I was the one that was more obsessive with.
Sure.
Like, hey, if you're playing on, if you set up the battle pass, you need to get to level 100 and get me all my stuff. And I was just like, do your dailies and do your, and he didn't care about any of that. He's like, I don't, I'm just gonna play. I'll get there. I'm just gonna play, and that's what he did. Like he never. He wasn't like he doesn't play Fortnite like how I play. Like I was like doing my dailies and just focusing on getting my rewards. And I think he was just getting different rewards from it, of murdering people and building castles around them as they were fighting. And I'm just like, I mean, and seriously, that's what it was. Like I can't even keep up with them. Like in Fortnite, if we were to play together, I mean, he would just build an entire community around my face and then kill me. And that's. For me, that takes time and dedication to do that, to be that good. And so for me, it's been more kind of trying to monitor amount of time played on things like that versus the obsession with and games are designed to like get you to be obsessed like that with the thing like dailies. They want you to log on every day to play games. And I think that's a bad habit to get kids into because they start learning that this is what games are like. You got to get on every day to stay good and to stay make sure you get all your rewards and crap, and it's just too much. And so it's probably a good thing you banned that. I didn't have to ban that one. He just naturally stopped playing it on his own.
Probably because all my kids stopped and he didn't have it.
You know what? It very well could have been. Yeah, it very well could have been.
Well, you know what's funny?
Right.
So I will sometimes I will get so consumed with a game that I have to remind myself to go outside and touch grass. Like that's currently happening with Expedition 33 right now, where I'm like, I'm so engrossed in it that I woke up this morning and I was like, I'm going to kill some time. Hours later, I'm still sitting there playing this game. And I was like, I need to touch grass. I have to pack. I have things I have to do. Yep. And so, especially with kids, that's where I start to get worried of like, hey, don't forget that you still have a life you need to live. You need to do your stuff. You need to interact with people physically. Like that's the thing is that I've noticed is yes, I work in a corporate office. I have noticed the younger generation coming into this workforce does not know how to engage with people in front of them. They feel more comfortable talking to them over chat, over email, like, and actually talking to them. Sometimes they're awkward and uncomfortable and weird, and they don't know how to mean, like, you know, it's just like, and they've gotten so used to having friends online or being chronically online that they forget how to interact with people in front of them and how to maintain eye contact and engage in normal conversations. And it's like, whoa, okay, get offline and like maybe like actually like touch some grass.
Yeah.
And but I have to do it myself too, because man, I was so consumed with Expedition 33.
When the first BioShock came out, you know, my ex-wife was pregnant with our first kid at the time. Like stupid pregnant, like like a month or two away from popping. And I remember BioShock came out, and it was like on a weekend that they started playing it, so I didn't have to work. And we had the living room set up, so she was in there watching some dumb reality show, Bret Michaels Trying to Find Love or something. Whereas I was in
I remember that.
I was in one of our guest rooms playing BioShock on the TV, and I kid you not, I don't think I showered for 2 days. I was in there playing. She had to like drag me out because like we had a date night or something coming up. Like once I stepped away from it, I was like, holy crap. I was just like, I was so consumed by that game. It was so good, so fun. I still kind of get like that with games sometimes, but I think that some of it's kind of maturity. The older you get, it's easier to kind of step away from that and come back. And I've learned, I've learned that over time. That I needed to stand up and leave. Especially, I played games so long that I get to a point where I was, you know, dying at the same spot and I couldn't get past it. But it's really, if you just take a break or you go do something else, go accomplish something in the real world, and then come back, your brain's rested and you're able to like get past something that you couldn't get past before. And it's just good to get up and step away from that. But
and you're talking about the maturity, right? And that's the thing. And that's why as parents, we have to have rules for them. We have to set up systems for them because they don't understand or have that maturity. I mean, look, the fact of the matter is we have systems in place in our house. Summer's coming, right? And all our kids, we go through, okay, here's our summer routine. It's not just wake up and play video games all day. What are you going to have to do? You're going to have to read at least an hour today. You're going to have to go outside for at least an hour today. You're going to have to do something creative for at least an hour today. Those are all three of those are things that they have to do. And of course, chores and the usual stuff, right? But they have to do all three of those things before they're allowed to play video games. And you know what happens? More often than not, they'll be, you know, do the first item as fast as they can. You know, let's get that hour in first because they're consumed and they want to play the video games. Then they get into the second item, and then they're like less like focused on the video games because they're actually kind of enjoying what they're doing, right? They're actually having fun. They're outside riding bikes, or they're running around with wooden swords, or they're just having a good time. They get to the creative part, and you know, my one son is, you know, playing G.I. Joes versus dinosaurs, and my daughter's in there making clip art and all sorts of random stuff. My other son's drawing. One of my sons will be doing like creating a stop motion with his action figures, and then 3 hours of that later, they'll be like, okay, I think I'm ready to play video games, even though they only needed an hour of that, right? But they did something that gave them life and joy. And then now they're like, okay, I'm ready to let my brain just, you know, pickle for a little while. And let it go play a video game, right?
For me, it'd be like I'd read for an hour and probably wind up being 2 hours that I read.
Totally. Right.
The time kind of they spend, as long as they're spending more time living life than they are doing that. I think that's a good thing. I think I might implement some of that myself.
That's how we roll, bro.
Smart.
Your story, Titan, it reminded me of a story I heard for basically a fifth perspective. In 2015, did you guys hear about the guy that sued Bethesda because he was not aware of how addicting Fallout 4 would be? So he locked himself in his basement for a month straight, lost his job, lost his home life, basically, and came out and basically said, Bethesda, you screwed me over because your game was so addicting, and he sued the company for like 500,000 Russian currencies. Anyway, it's all this to make me say, right? So the goal of a parent, right, in very simplistic terms, I would argue, is to prepare your children for life without you, right? You hit 18
Right.
or more
100%.
nowadays is more like 20, and you fly the coop, and the question becomes, can you now function as a proper adult on your own?
Yeah.
And taking into account that this is very that gaming in general and all this stuff is a very natural part of life nowadays, right? I see a lot of people in your generation and older that are addicted to TV, that are addicted to scrolling, Instagram or TikTok, or they'll never touch a game in their life. Yeah, but they are so unable to function, right, without these forms of technology, right? And so it becomes entirely the question of how can my kid exist with this, because it's going to be there, right? Your kid's going to get into gaming, or they're going to get into TikTok with or without you. And it becomes exactly right. Like, can they go outside and play? Can they have a real conversation in a workplace? Can they hold down a job?
Yeah.
And so it is this balance, right? You can't just shut it off. You can't just say, no, you're not allowed to touch any of this till you're 18 and then figure it out.
Right.
Good luck.
Right.
And it's very
Saga,
interesting.
did he win that lawsuit?
No, I don't. Let me read the rest of the article. I don't think so.
You know what? I mean, he might have a claim there. I remember playing Skyrim, and I was trying to get from point A to point B to do a mission. And I remember looking at my watch. It was 3 hours later, and I never made it to point B because I kept getting sidetracked, going into houses, reading books. I was reading books online. But this reminds me, we should add video game addiction as a topic that we can talk about. I think that'd be a good one. But I think we're going to go ahead and wrap everything up here. But I think we've come to some good terms here. I think for parents with kids, you need to probably monitor what they're playing, have discussions with them about what they're playing, and have a good, healthy set of rules so that they're not getting consumed by the game, getting addicted to certain aspects of it, and still being able to enjoy real social life outside of this online connectivity that games have nowadays.
Yeah, but also being able to find fun in video games at the same time. Yeah.
Well, and one of the things I will say, as somebody who didn't get into video games until I was an adult, I mean, like Saga mentioned earlier, some of my friendships, you guys, have been born from video games. I had never met Saga a day in my life until we started gaming together. I met Fable through, Titan, but even then, our friendship has grown through gaming, and so there's a community to be found there, but you just like with everything, you got to be careful on what you're consuming.
Yep.
Everything in moderation, and sometimes you're going to get some real weird people on games.
For real, and it's interesting. That might be another good topic, is kind of how the social aspect of gaming has led to real life friendships where people meet in real life. People have even met on video games and got married in real life.
I know a few people.
I know a few. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a thing. I think it'd be
we should bring them on. That's very interesting.
That is.
Flip the script. Use video games as a punishment. I'm kind of curious. If your kid talks back to you, lock them in a room with Dark Souls and don't let them leave till they beat it. I'm very curious as to what that would do to a kid's psyche.
That is definitely an interesting take. And then you walk in and they've mastered Dark Souls.
As a reminder, Unchained Saga does not have children.
The Backlog Gamers does not endorse this statement. This is the
don't take parenting
advice. That Backlog Gamer does. Only that one.
All right. If you have done this and have had great success, let me know.
I was just about to get to that. Why don't you, if you're a parent and you have kids, or if you're someone who doesn't have children but you have strong opinions on this, leave us a comment on YouTube, or you could find us on Twitter, or any of our other Spotify. Just leave us a comment. Let us know what you do as a parent with your children. I'm interested in this because as a parent's primary job is to mold their children and to prepare them for the world without, having to hold their hand. So it's really interesting to see how gaming plays a part of that molding process. So we want you guys to let us know. I'm interested in what you have to say. And with that, we'll come to the end of the episode here. If you guys are watching on YouTube, make sure you guys hit all the buttons, the subscribe, notify. What's the other one? Like, subscribe, notify, notify.
Hit the bell.
If you're listening to us on your favorite podcast carrier, be sure to follow us on there as well. You can also find us on Twitter at Gamers Backlog. It's Backlog Gamers backwards. At Gamers Backlog on X and TikTok and Instagram, right?
You got it.
Perfect. And I'm gonna let you guys, starting with Unchained Saga, throw out your plugs.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, we'll start with Rage PB. Throw out your plugs.
Nah. I don't have any.
As she says.
It's a mixture of all of us posting on all of our socials. It's either Fable, me, sometimes it's Saga. Never is a Titan. Yeah, do you post on the socials?
Yeah, I respond to comments on TikTok all the time.
Oh yeah, well there you go. So you might be interacting with me. You never know.
To clarify, I did start up a YouTube channel. If you were here last episode, it's a Let's Play. I'm doing soul searching and redefining exactly what I'm posting currently, so there won't be anything on there for a little bit. If you're watching, I have a homemade vocal booth behind me that I'm going to be putting out a different form of content with. So next episode, I'll probably have a lot of plugs, but as of right now, I am a leaf in the wind. So yeah, just comment, interact with us here. I like a lot of our discussions that we have on our shorts on TikTok and stuff like that. So,
for real.
For sure.
Hit us up there.
So if you guys are interested in fantasy books at all, I have a bunch of them now. I've written several fantasy books at this point, so there's lots to enjoy. So I got epic fantasy, cozy fantasy, and I even have a kind of a horror dark fantasy coming out. Actually comes out on May 13th. Called Scorn, which is really exciting. So if you guys are into fantasy at all, definitely check out freefantasyfiction.com, and you can get some free fantasy stories about characters that you meet in some of my books. So check that out.
Ooh. Booyah. You guys can find me on Twitter at HaloTitan. You can find me on Twitch, t.tv / or it's twitch.tv / HaloTitan. Though I am moving over to YouTube. I was actually trying to get it set up today, but follow me at HaloTitan on YouTube. We will be doing some live streams. It's a less clean show over on my channel, so just be forewarned. I play adult games, rated M for mature, and there might be some, Unchained Saga words on there.
I didn't even say the full word. I mouthed it.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in to this week's episode of the Backlog Gamers podcast. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
Bye.